Welcome back to the Joe Mobley Show live. Guys, we got a lot of awesome stuff to talk about tonight. 2024 is sure to be a heck of a year. We're not even through the first week, and it's already looking like it's just going to suck. It's going to suck a lot, and that's okay. We're here for it. Tonight, we're going to be talking about the border crisis. You can't mention the border crisis without all of the crises involved, from human trafficking, which is literally a child sex slave down there, child sex slave trade down there. There we go. See, that's why we're not on YouTube. That would have been axed right there. The drug trade, the fentanyl overflowing, and other illicit substances, all of that stuff wrapped up in America's air quote border. Guys, we're talking about the strange happenings that have been going on, the word unprecedented in every title, and whatever else comes up into our minds. We are not talking about Civil War. We probably won't talk much about the election. Calm down. It's January freaking 4th right now. So all that and more, and it all starts right now. All right. Samantha, how are you?
I am doing okay. I'm still trying to figure out my technology over here. So, other than that, I'm great. It's the 4th of January, and as I was listening to your intro, it feels like we've lived about 12 months already in the year 2024. I feel like it should be about December 4th, 2024 by now, with all the stuff that's already come out, and it's only the beginning of the year. So buckle up is all I have to say. Just buckle up, people. It is going to be a wild ride this year. So, well.
Yeah. All right. What are your thoughts on, our first topic is border crisis. So,
yeah.
What are your thoughts on the border crisis?
Well, if I were Carrie Jean-Pierre, I would say that Biden really cares about the border and that he has taken unprecedented action. You know, and I don't disagree with her on that, because I really feel like what we're seeing at the border is unprecedented. So she's not technically lying, but I mean, as someone, I live in Texas. We have lived here for the last few years. Thankfully, at the north, where am I? Kind of north central, maybe a little bit to the west. So we're not right along the border. When we see videos of these caravans that are making their way toward the border, you know, I know that it's not coming straight into my backyard, but as we've seen, you can be in New York, you can be in Chicago, you can be anywhere in the country, and this is taking its toll. And I don't think people have quite grasped what the purpose of this is. You know, clearly it's obviously going to destroy the country. It's going to plummet everybody into poverty. It's going to drain all of our resources and make us completely incapable of taking care of ourselves and make us more reliant on the government. But I mean, it has to do with voting. Clearly. I mean,
I feel like that was like the most CNN, but like, I'm going to put a positive spin. That was like the worst news, increasingly getting worse, just progressively worse. But, and I'm just like, what could be on the other side of this but that would make anything okay?
Yeah, no, it's just progressively getting worse. And even the butt, like I would be terrible on CNN, because it's meant, at least a large part of it, I believe, is meant for voting. they're going to give these people voter IDs. They want people voting in our elections because clearly they can't get people who are actually living with the consequences of their policies to continue to support them. So they have to bring a bunch of people in who know nothing about our country, nothing about our constitution, nothing about our history, nothing about our values to vote for them.
Oh, 100%. All right, got the background fixed. It's just the weirdest stuff right now. Again, not big tech, operator error. Yeah, I just made the background my computer desktop somehow. So KJP's comments, it's just painful. It's a painful experience to watch her as White House press secretary, but I just can't get past the fact that everyone in that room and everyone apparently in Congress and in state houses all throughout the union are just pretending that we have a border, because we literally don't. Mm-hmm. Border Patrol is saying that we don't. Migrants who are just gathering with all of their friends, people they just met, and then they're like, hey, bring all your possessions. We're just going to walk into Texas. There's no sense in which we have a border. Just to the south, we have a decent border, on the coast and up north. But our southern border is completely nonsense. Like at this point, those lanes with the Border Patrol stops is really just for show, because 10 miles left or right of either of the crossings is just a wide open caravan lane. So that's how I feel. I think we're screwed from everything from drugs to economic instability, because that's what happens when we have that many people crossing the border. You're watching economic instability, rises in crime, and just a terrible situation for everyone, including the migrants crossing. That's what we're watching. So every time I think about it, I'm just completely defeated. There really isn't, the problem's gotten so bad, there really isn't an answer. Just close the border barely scratches the surface on how to address the problem, because I've heard everything from 15 million to some people have said 100 million. I don't believe 100 million people have crossed the border. That's a third of the American population. But tens of million, that's substantial.
Yeah. Well, and the question is, where do you draw the line? Because shockingly, there are still people that believe that it is our job to house everybody that is struggling, and that everybody that is coming across our border is coming for that reason. So at what point do we draw the line? At what point do we say we literally cannot take all however many billions of people are on the planet into our country? At some point, we have to set a standard. We have to set a boundary. But as with pretty much any leftist policy, they can't do that, because once they set a boundary, they have to admit that laws are necessary. They have to admit that a wall is necessary. They have to admit that law enforcement is necessary, and that politics has no place in our justice system. So they can't do that. So essentially, they can't set a boundary. And the only way they get away with this is continue to tell their base that it is our job to take care of people, that we're racist if we don't, that we're xenophobic if we don't, that we're oppressive if we don't. So that's how they keep this going. But I agree, even if we, not to be a downer, guys, but if by some long shot we actually win the election in 2024, what's the solution? What is the solution? How do we fix this?
I'll just add another, since you added a downer, I'll add a bigger downer.
You do that.
I still don't believe, all right, put on your tinfoil hat with me, people. This is just a Joe Mobley opinion. I don't have any insider scoop. I haven't seen inside machines or whatever, but I can't be convinced that America still has elections. I posted maybe 10 videos about this over the last 2 years. You cannot convince me that we traded a system that was fast, cheap, and simple for one that's slow, expensive, and very complicated. You cannot convince me that we did that for any reason other than fraud. Whatever kind of fraud you want to call it, voter fraud. I don't think that it's voter fraud in the way that people traditionally say it. I think that the elites, the nameless, faceless leaders who run the world, are selecting for whatever races they want, whatever outcome they want. I can't be convinced otherwise. We've got France using 100-year-old ballots. They're done counting way before us. Argentina, they outlawed electronic voting, and all of a sudden they've got Ultra MAGA Trump 3.0 down there. I'm not saying don't vote. I'm not saying that I'm not voting. I'm just saying I don't believe that we have elections because the way that we do it is stupid. So
no, I completely agree, and I don't have again, the same as you. I'm not telling people not to go vote. I'm not telling people not to try. I'm not telling people to just give up and just let whatever happens in November happen. But I think if nothing else, 2020 proved how easily things can be messed with and how quickly. And I think that, clearly replacing an easy system with a far more complicated system is going to leave room for corruption. But so we've had that problem for a long time. But
there's no benefit. No one has told me a single positive benefit of electronic voting. It's not faster. Accuracy? It's not more secure.
Yeah. Efficiency? No. Making things fast? No. Getting it done so we all know the answer? No. There's no. I have yet to see a positive.
Everything about it is the opposite of normal business, normal supply demand, normal meet the market where they are. Voters are usually older. So the more technology you throw in this thing, everyone knows we have a disproportionate representation of the elderly in the voting block. That's just, young people don't care about voting. Old people don't know how to work the technology. I worked 2 elections, and most of the volunteers were very old, and they couldn't work the poll pads, and they couldn't. It was just a disaster. So, and then they're seeing other old people who are coming to vote. So it's like 2 geriatrics walk into an Apple store and try and figure out how to program an iPad. It's just like a ridiculous joke. Anyway.
Yeah. So there's that.
So you don't think Trump's going to win?
I don't know. I don't even know if Trump is going to be the nominee. I don't know. You guys, I have so much pessimism about the upcoming election, and I'm trying to stay positive. I don't know what's going to happen. I really don't. And
well, here, I'll tell you what's going to happen. We've got 15,000 new voters on their way. Here they are. It's going to be glorious. They're voting in the 2024 election, y'all.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, obviously, I think most of the audience that is going to watch this show is going to agree with us. But, you know, we need to understand we have all these people that think it's, and I've made this point on Twitter before. I think they're making this point. They think it's so funny that to leave Trump off the ballot in Colorado or in Maine. They think, you know, that they're winning something there. But no, they're not considering the fact that all of these illegal immigrants are being allowed to flood the country so that all of our voices get taken away, so that nobody that actually lives here and knows our candidates and knows what they want to vote for has any say whatsoever. They're going to give these people IDs and they're going to give them ballots with one name on them. And that's it. That is what is going to happen. So it doesn't matter what you want, whether you're a Democrat or Republican. Once they get all of these people with their ballots in hand, it's not going to matter what any of us want.
So can't leave out MTG's comment here. Is she crazy or is she on to something? She says the Biden administration is the best business partner the cartels have ever had. And I got to tell you guys, if you're, you know, a drug cartel And you see these massive amounts of people just being allowed to walk into supposedly the most secure country in the world with no checks, barely any possessions, and they get money, they get phones, they get little travel cards and hospitality cards for hotels. That is until the government just starts kicking you out of your home. And, you know, the Constitution says they can't make you quarter soldiers, but it doesn't say anything about making you quarter illegals. So yeah. I'm still waiting for that legislation to drop. And it won't be legislation. It'll be a regulation, a mandate, something like that. Yeah. But no, I think her comment's spot on.
Yeah, no, and I don't, I mean, people can think what they want about Marjorie Taylor Greene as a representative, as a person. You know, she might bother people on a personal level or whatever, but I think she's spot on with a lot of the things she says. And I've said it too. I think the Biden administration is empowering the worst people in the country and the worst people in the world. I mean, the drug cartels and human traffickers are thriving now more than they ever had. And we've had whistleblowers talk about the things that they have seen at these detention centers where they thought they were going to help kids. They thought they were going to help families, only to find out that these people come in with, you know, with a card or with a stamp on them or something, and they're supposed to just shuffle them along to whoever the contact is within the United States. And it doesn't have to be a relative. And these kids, especially, they know that they're in danger. They know that they're not safe. And as much as these whistleblowers have tried to get help and get somebody to acknowledge that this is happening at an unprecedented level, nobody cares. And I think it's interesting because I've said before as well that all of these Democrats, you know, the Democrat voters think that that their voice, that their opinion matters to their own party. And it's like, you guys are just useful idiots, essentially. Like, they get you to support these bad policies like an open border, and then the second you start saying, hey, close the border, hey, like the people in Chicago are saying, we cannot sustain this, we cannot take care of our own people, our city is being flooded with even more crime and all of these things, and they're saying you need to do something about this. Nobody's listening to Mayor Brandon Johnson. Nobody's listening to Eric Adams. Nobody is listening to people in Chicago, anybody, even if they're a Democrat. Sorry, I don't know what just happened, but no one, even their own party, like the Democrats that are saying this has to stop, they're being ignored. And that's the way it's going to be. They're going to use you to get their policies in place. And then the second you say, we can't do this anymore, it's going to be like, your voice isn't even, it's not, you're not even talking.
Oh, yeah. That's what happened to Abigail Spanberger, who I'm not a fan of hers at all. Congresswoman out of Virginia. But she got reamed for saying, hey, we can't become socialist. And I laughed because I clicked over to Twitter and I saw your comment.
Which one?
Which there are only two genders. Which a short while ago, you couldn't put that on Twitter.
I know.
You'd have been banned. Your account would have been gone.
I know. Thank you, Elon.
All right. Yeah. Well, it looks like it's still working on Getter and Twitter, so that's good.
I do appreciate that Speaker Mike Johnson did make a trip down to the border. Elon Musk also made a trip to the border recently. So all of these
Elon
people,
Musk did? I missed that.
Probably about a month ago, maybe a little longer. But these people are going down there confirming that it's a mess. Yet if you listen to Karine Jean-Pierre, it must be so nice to live in that level of ignorance. Do you really think that she believes what she says? Because she's not very bright.
That's complicated. I do know people that lie just so often, just without regard for consequences. They do tend to believe stuff, even if they're the source of the misinformation. And you see that a lot in people that are just chronic liars. They've lied through their teens and their young 20s. So they actually believe some of the things that they made up about themselves, trips that they took. I think Biden's probably in that boat. He probably believes, let's assume he didn't have dementia and he could remember stuff. He probably believes the lies he told for the last 60 years. I think she does. I think she
Yeah.
believes the lies because of the position that she's in, the kind of, she had to live her life in such a way that she got picked for that. So that means that she's definitely a Kool-Aid drinker.
Yeah. I know. There are people, plenty of these people. Sorry if you guys can hear my cat. There are plenty of people clearly that are lying and they know they're lying. I think that's probably the majority of people that are causing all of these problems right now. But then there's people like KJP that I just think she's so stupid. I just think she just believes whatever she's told. Whatever she's told to say, she believes is the truth, because I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what to make of her, because it's just so astonishingly bad and it's so hard to watch every time she speaks, but she says the same things over and over again. So I didn't think anybody could be worse than Jen Psaki, and
it can always get worse. That's something that basically COVID taught me, is it can always get worse. Just ridiculous. So another thing that I wonder, this is doesn't have anything to do with the show, but yeah, interesting. So I opened Twitter on my phone, and it looks like they changed something in the interface. So there's like a bunch of spaces going on, and the spaces are purple, but it looks like live streams come in pink. I don't know if you've noticed that. So
I have not.
There we are at the top of the app for our followers. It shows that, I don't know, that we're in here talking. It's so interesting, but I just don't know how it works. Like, it doesn't seem to promote them in a way that I can make sense out of. Like, it looks like Vivek is streaming right now on Twitter. It looks like Rudy Giuliani is as well, but it's not like who has the most views is the top. Maybe it goes by account. Maybe Vivek's account's just bigger. And then it starts with spaces, and the spaces are ordered by how many people are in them.
Interesting.
So anyway, this is, I don't know about you, but I feel like I'm getting older and technology is getting harder to really grasp. So.
Well, and I don't think it's just an age thing. I think it's just moving so quickly. I mean, when we had, MySpace and Facebook come out, like we had like 2 social media apps to deal with at one time, and things like live streaming wasn't even on the radar. So it's just the fact that these apps just change so quickly, and everybody's trying to keep up with everybody else and trying to look like everybody else and offer the same options as everybody else, but everybody kind of does it differently. It's just very difficult to keep up with. So that's my excuse, because I don't feel like it's just a matter of me being old. And it's also, the fact that I don't have the patience to figure every single one of these things out has probably a bit to do with my age, but yeah, I can't. I
don't think I don't have the patience. I just don't have the desire. Like, I guess it's just pure laziness. Like cross-posting. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago. Cross-posting, in theory, should be easy. It's the same piece of content. You put it on as many platforms as you can get your hands on. But the user interfaces are so different. The buttons are in different places. And I just hate assimilating to 10 different environments. Like, I'm a young enough person that I should love Instagram. I hate Instagram. Like, everything about it annoys the crap out of me. And just going on there to post is truly painful. Like, and my wife will tell you that this is true. Like, my Instagram game is on E, and I hate it. But I mean, honestly, I like TikTok better than Instagram. There, I said it. ultra MAGA, super red Joe. I like TikTok better than Instagram. I just think they do a better job. Their algorithm makes more sense to me. It doesn't show me like 18-year-old Asian chicks like it shows a lot of you guys. And you guys, it's showing you that because of other stuff you're looking at on the internet. I'm just to let you know.
I'm just putting it out there.
Yeah. like
so
I remember
Guilty.
watching a TikTok, and it was about YouTube, and it was like, women, if you want to know about what your man's really interested in, open the YouTube app on his phone and don't scroll, just look at that first page. So I'm sitting in bed, and my wife's right there. I'm like, all right, let's see what this YouTube is about. And it's like guns, conservative talk shows, woodworking, and more guns. And she was like, yep. She's like, yeah, I already knew that about you.
Yeah, that's funny. I think after this, I'll hand my husband my phone and just be like, just open YouTube. Just see what it does.
Like, if you open it and it's like big booty hose and like
exactly.
close-ups of like chicks doing that one exercise in the gym, you guys know.
Yeah.
I don't even have to describe it.
I know.
That's
I
what shows
I thought for a second you were going to demonstrate. I was like, whoa, stay in the chair.
No.
Nope,
That's a heck of an exercise, though. Like, it really does. Like, glutes for days. And it's not just for women. It's hard. Anyway, you guys know. If that shows up all over, it's because that's what you watch. YouTube is giving you what you want to look at. So, I feel like I could get set up right now. Like, if I open YouTube, it would be that. All right. So, I just open YouTube.
If I open my phone, it's like, here's another story about serial killers.
All right. So this is so accurate, especially this Brett Cooper. I don't know a lot about Brett Cooper, but the internet decided that I needed to watch her videos last week. And I've watched like 100 Brett Cooper videos. I think she does a wonderful job as a content creator. I'm guessing she's new. I don't know. Her channel is huge. She definitely does look like Ben Shapiro.
Yeah, she does.
So I buy into that conspiracy. But it's exactly me. Timcast. I watch Timcast. Order of Man. I listen to Order of Man all the time. I did not know that the Iron Council preview was going to be live today. That's interesting.
Why do you have Jennifer Love Hewitt's underwear ads?
Jennifer Love Hewitt's underwear ad is because it's Conan O'Brien. Yeah. I can't talk about it on the internet, but people that know me, and you know this, but I may have worked on or am working on a project that requires a lot of research and writing of late night shows. And that's all that I could say about that.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it's not about Jennifer Love Hewitt's underwear ads. It's Conan O'Brien. And Diary of a CEO. I've never watched this. It actually looks kind of stupid. Oh, no, this black guy. No, I've watched this black guy. Is his channel called Diary of a CEO? Okay, well, I guess I don't pay attention. And what are you? How to make a killer YouTube intro. I was probably looking at something like that like yesterday. Let's see. Wood, Order of Man, comedy. Yeah, this is totally me. So.
Yep. Nothing surprising there. Thank you for clearing up the Jennifer Love Hewitt's underwear ads.
The funniest thing is, when I looked at this, initially the only woman that I noticed was Brett Cooper. But I guess, who are you? Unleash your creativity. Design with. Anyway, the people watching the show are probably like, what the heck is going on? Like, what are we talking about?
We get a little sidetracked. It's fine.
Yeah. I want to get sidetracked on this because, I mean, we may have moved on past the border. But this tweet that you pulled up here, let's zoom in. This tweet that you pulled up is just perfect. Like, people don't, oh my gosh, 2024 is going to be the year of misinformation. And I'm not talking about crazy right-wing conspiracies or Trump's Putin's puppet or whatever, but like just lies. Lies from the government, lies from the trusted sources, the media hacks, and they're going to be telling you stuff like this is a lie. This is not a lie. Not just Trump's administration, but Obama's administration kept illegal border crossings under 6 figures. Joe Biden's got 242 plus thousand. And that's just the people that either get caught or get eyes on, or that we have decent projections on people.
Well, and I have a question. So it might be a bit of a conspiracy theory that it's the Obama administration that's actually running the show, not the Biden administration.
Bum,
Yet,
bum, bum.
I saw a couple of viewers drop off right when I said that. Sorry, guys. Come back.
That was Obama's people. We're out of here.
They're like, dang it. How does she know we're here? So Obama was known as the deporter in chief. So if he, why was he so strict, at least on paper, about the border during his administration? Yet if he's running the show now, why are things so out of control? Like, why didn't he do this under his administration?
I'll take this on the flyer. I don't think he had to. Obama was wildly popular. As Joe Biden pointed out, the first clean black guy I guess he had ever seen, because he's an old racist dude. But right. Super charismatic. I've stopped saying that Obama was super smart. He's modestly intelligent, but I think more of a hack than a true intellectual. But man, he's got such good charisma. Even when his speeches weren't about anything, they made you feel good. They made you feel like you wanted to be a part of the something he was creating, and, yes, we can, and all that nonsense. So I don't think he had to. Now, Biden and this new class of liberal, which we pretty much call them progressives now. We call them radicals or socialists, and they're that too. But the Democratic Party has almost replaced itself with progressivism. And it's appropriate to say that they're progressives. Like AOC, she's a freaking, splash in the pan. She's a firebrand liberal. She's practically a socialist, and she's super progressive. Yeah, so that's their firebrand. Like Matt Gaetz, he's not a libertarian. He's very right-wing. He's very conservative. MTG, Lauren Brobart, who else is like a firebrand? Jim Jordan. He's not a libertarian. He's just very conservative. Those are our firebrands. I almost said Tim Allen. Tim Allen is conservative. But the left's firebrands, they're not Democrats. They're not liberal. Well, actually, technically they are. They are all the way on the left, just a hair to the right of fascist. And only because they haven't come out and said, we are fascists, we desire fascism. So, no, I'm not calling anyone a Nazi. But because Obama was super popular, he didn't need to play the game that way. He had the votes. For his second term, his votes did go down a normal amount, like everyone's do, except for Trump's, which is super interesting. I just don't think he had to play it that way.
That makes sense. He could win based on the voices and the votes of the people that actually live here. Whereas Biden doesn't have that luxury. So they're like, we've got to import as many people from around the globe that we possibly can to even have a shot. So,
and it would have been too much too soon.
Yeah.
It really would have been too much too soon.
Absolutely.
COVID and the 2020 election afforded the left a lot of goodwill among their followers to just decimate them with oppression. And these Americans, if we can even call them Americans, they were like, please, government, give me more oppression, take more of my rights. And so now they're just like foot on the gas, you know? If Obama had been, oh my gosh, we dodged a bullet. If Obama had been president instead of 2012 and 2016, if he came into office in 2020, we would be effed. Like, this country would be over. And all that charisma and all of the stripping of civil liberties together, well, would have been a disaster. Or if he were the president, you know, post 9/11, it would have been bad.
Yeah. No, I agree. So, yeah.
All right. Well, I spent a crazy amount of time troubleshooting, so I guess we got about 10 minutes left. So many stories. Definitely not going to get through them all. I do agree with your comment that Mayorkas should be impeached because he's supposed to be defending the homeland. It's kind of in the title. Yeah, but he doesn't.
Nope.
We could talk about fentanyl, or we could talk about, I love that you wrote this, the poison of DEI and CRT.
Yep. Well,
your subject writing has gotten better.
I try. If we just briefly want to touch on this situation with the Harvard president. I mean, I know everybody today was talking about the Epstein list. I mean, I don't want to switch to that subject, but I was really in that today. And then the more I listened to like more conservative voices and just kind of everybody's take on it, I'm like, we really didn't learn a whole lot from this revelation today. Like, there's still so much information that is being hidden. So
I'll say my one line about it. I don't care at all about this list and the Epstein situation, because the whole thing, the whole pomp and circumstance, just reveals to you that we are living in a society that is just completely unjust. We don't have a Department of Justice. We truly have a Department of Injustice. And that's not just federally. That's not even a slight at the DOJ. That's a slight at law and order criminal justice practice within the United States. Our system of law and how, because it doesn't work. It's not working. And they've turned it into, I think I posted this already, they've turned it into a real life episode of Jerry Springer or some other trash reality TV show where everyone's like clamoring for criminals, pedophiles, people who have forced themselves into sexual, unconsensual relationships with kids. We're all clamoring for, tell us another name.
Yeah.
Of a rapist? Like,
yeah.
We should be like, we demand that these people be prosecuted, not that their name be put out on Twitter.
Yeah.
And then we're satisfied? Like, oh, if they released all of the names, it's like, wait a minute, release the names. The government has the authority. The people who are supposed to enforce the law has the authority to just withhold it and just say, no, we have all this intelligence, but we're actually not going after these people. And we'll hold on to it for like 24, 36 months. And then we'll make you feel good by releasing information little bits out of a time. And you're going to feel like you're accomplishing something. No, the whole thing is just ridiculous.
Yeah. No, it's frustrating. I definitely, I mean, not that I wasn't that big on the whole names. Like, I think when they said that they were going to release these documents, I thought that we were going to get more like, okay, we're going to start honing in on these people and actually bringing some justice. And it's like, what was I thinking? Because that's not going to happen. Like, and then I had this clarity, like it doesn't matter. They can list 1,000 people on this list. Nothing is going to happen to these people. And that is the most disgusting part of it. So it's like,
think about it this way. There's a list with that's maintained by the United States government with everyone who was at, posted about, supported, advertised, interacted with in any way January 6th. And that list, they're issuing warrants for the names on that list, and they're going out and they're arresting and prosecuting people. And they're not releasing that list. They're actioning through that list. They're releasing this list because they are never going to action through it. You don't. I can tell you with full certainty, no one, if anyone on this list gets prosecuted, it'll be less than 10% of the people on there. And they'll be the most expendable people that the left is done with.
Yeah, absolutely. And I honestly think that this whole idea of the Epstein client list has really turned into, is Trump on it or not? Like,
oh, he's not.
No,
he's not. If Trump was on it, they would have sold Epstein in 2015 if Trump was on the list.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I know. So we've known this whole time that he's not on it, but the only thing they're focused on is the fact that he's not on it. So that now making it seem like, I mean, Trump as a rapist was trending on Twitter today still. And I'm like, they had nothing to do anyway.
Here's what to know about Trump. Apparently, Trump isn't as bad as many of us thought, myself included. I probably thought that he's done worse stuff than he's done. The reason I know he hasn't is because everything that they could possibly leak about Trump, they have. They did during his first election, and then they did every day of his presidency, and then they started making stuff up, and then they started planting things, and it like really makes me feel...
investigated person on the entire planet. So, So whatever crimes there are to know about Trump, I mean, they got his tax returns. Like, oh, gosh. That's the worst they could come up with, guys. So...
yeah.
Anyway, I do want to talk about the Harvard professor even for a minute, because this thing was just making me so mad.
It's outrageous.
And okay, so I don't know. I'm sure a lot of people have been following this story. Claudine Gay was the president of Harvard. She first came to my attention when she was she was at the congressional hearing with Elise Stefanik and other presidents of universities being questioned about the anti-Semitism on their campuses. And it was just mind-boggling. I mean, at this point, I don't think any of this should be surprising. But first, if you see this hearing, Elise Stefanik was asking these university presidents if calls for genocide against Jewish students was considered bullying and harassment. And these people danced around the question, saying it depended on the context. It depended on if it was something that actually led to action. And these are the same people, mind you, that will say that it is violence to use the wrong pronoun or, something silly like that, and not allow a biological man to use the woman's bathroom. Like, that is violence. But we have all of these groups, as we've seen, these protests going crazy with people locking Jewish students in libraries and threatening them on campus and being harassed. These people are going to public establishments. And I saw the one where the Starbucks employees were refusing to let this Jewish person use the bathroom, and all of these things going on. So that was the first thing. And then this woman was caught plagiarizing, 60 times? I could be wrong.
Now, I don't think she plagiarized, because Harvard put out a statement saying that what she did was duplicative language without proper attribution.
Isn't that called plagiarizing?
It must be something different because Harvard, I mean, you have to have a deep knowledge of words and language to even get into Harvard. So we must be wrong. Plagiarism must be something
language.
else.
Like you're duplicating somebody else's language and not citing them for it.
Cite is another word for attribution. So
right.
They're trying to say you guys are stupid. This isn't plagiarism. Plagiarism's something else. It's like, nah, dog, this is plagiarism.
All she did was copy language and not cite people for it.
From a brilliant black woman who earned her PhD and is Dr. Carol Swain is just, she is so impressive. She follows my Twitter account. I don't know why. I don't know what she could possibly see in my tweets.
Well, she's amazing, and she actually has the. I think I included the tweet from Larry Elder, but Carol Swain, didn't she apply to be a professor or something at Harvard, and she was rejected?
Oh yeah.
But then Claudine Gay plagiarizes all of these people, one of whom is Carol Swain, and she is allowed in, and she's now the president of Harvard. So it's like Carol Swain, her own work wasn't good enough to get her into this institution, but Claudine Gay copies it, and she gets in. That is astonishing to me.
Also, the fact that the number of published works that she has, I just have a master's degree, and I almost have the same amount of published works as Claudine Gay, who wasn't just a professor at Harvard, but got selected through a rigorous selection process. Doesn't have anything to do with the fact that she's black or a woman or, has her hair looking like she could easily be a dude. And that's not a slight against. A lot of black women have low-cut hair, but hers is... I won't say that. That's an ad hominem. So, yeah. But she's just out here. Yeah. See, look, I've grown over the last 7 months.
Well, but I think, I don't know why I let the reaction from the left surprise me anymore. I mean, are we knew, okay, first of all, so then Claudine Gay ends up resigning from her position at Harvard, even though they should have fired her. She should have been fired, but she ends up resigning.
She should have been fired, and her degree, her terminal degree, should be called into question because she plagiarized in defense of her getting a PhD. It's bullcrap that they allowed her, because you have to do written boards and oral boards, and those are supposed to be some of the hardest things you could do in academia. And at Harvard, I can't even. Yeah.
So she ended up resigning. She still gets to keep her $900,000 a year salary currently. And of course, the reaction as to why she was forced to resign is not because she plagiarized, not because she did anything wrong, not because she refused to condemn anti-Semitism, and not because, she doesn't seem to think that calling for the genocide of the Jewish students on Harvard campus is wrong, but because of racism. Because why else would a black woman have to quit her job?
I can't decide if that's my favorite part about this or the fact that the Associated Press is trying to normalize the idea that getting people fired for plagiarism is the right's new weapon against colleges. So how we are going to take back the academic institutions is we are going to make the leftists cheat on their school assignments, and then 10, 15 years later, we're going to out them for cheating. Like, what? They think we're stupid.
They, you know what? It's not think. They know. They know people are stupid because there are people defending this. There are people, I mean, and it's not even just their base. They have, people that claim to be academics like Ibram X. Kendi that, are supposed to be people worth listening to out there repeating this same thing. And there's people that listen to it. And it's like, this is not how this works. This is not how society works. We don't go around copying other people's ideas or stealing information or stealing, work from other people so that we can get ahead. That's not how this works. I don't understand how you can say that plagiarism is now some kind of conservative tool against colleges. Like, plagiarism has been a thing that you cannot do anywhere since the beginning of time. At least you shouldn't be able to.
But also just conflating the two things, that calling someone out on their plagiarism, on their cheating, is actually racist.
Yeah.
That's the same statement as who could it be? Who's a prominent black leftist? Ibram X. Kendi. I don't know if he's married. Let's say he's married. He gets found out to be cheating on his wife, and the right calls him out for it. He gets busted. There's some kind of big internet, hullabaloo of how the news comes out. His wife leaves him, and then the media starts saying, new right-wing tactic. The radical, conservative crazies got Ibram X. Kendi to cheat on his wife, told on him, and then his wife left him. It's like, no, dude, you're the one doing the wrong. This was always wrong.
Yeah.
Cheating was always wrong.
And it's one more thing that they turn into a political issue, like right versus left. And it's like, okay, so now that you guys are known for like racism and being child predators and lawlessness, now you guys are known for being cheaters and all of these other things. If you're against racism and you're against plagiarism, then that means you're on the right. It's like, thank you. I'll take that. That's like,
oh no.
Oh no, don't call me someone who is honest and would not steal work from other people.
This kind of thing, though, just like when they dangled student loan forgiveness, it pissed off people who paid off. We paid off $96,000 in loans, I think is what it was. Not just all student loans, other stuff too. But it just pissed us off. This is another thing, like, I tore myself in half as a full-time sergeant in the Army, full-time dad, multiple kids, and a full-time grad student getting a master's in Homeland Security. And it sucked. It sucked for my wife. It sucked for me. It sucked for the soldiers that I led. It was just a terrible 24-month. I think I went straight through the summer. So it was like a terrible, 18-month process. And I wrote a really good white paper about the FBI. One of my professors, strategic intelligence, she said, I hope this isn't true. And I freaking nailed it. It was a paper about the FBI's attempt to subvert constitutional processes. And full disclosure, because it's out now, but it was everything about GPS fusion and Christopher Steele and all that stuff months before the Epic Times was even onto it. I wrote a white paper about it. Yep, I nailed it. I was totally right. But anyway,
no,
it makes me feel like an idiot when this chick is out here at Harvard, supposedly one of the most prestigious universities in the world, plagiarizing on. You don't plagiarize on a dissertation. A dissertation is supposed to be like looked after with a fine-tooth comb. It's just, don't send your kids to college. Like, I don't even know. My degrees are in the closet. I don't display them anywhere. Yeah, they're just collecting dust in the closet. I refuse.
It's not a flex anymore.
No, it's almost embarrassing.
Yeah.
The more degrees you have now, it's almost
embarrassing.
Harvard,
keep that on the down low. Don't tell anybody.
The other night, Tuesday night, I was at the cigar club, and a couple of the people there are Harvard alums, and it was the night the news broke. and someone's like, oh, Liberty's football team lost. I'm like, your president just resigned in disgrace, and you want to talk about my football team? Wow.
I love it. Well, and I do want to say, like, the reason I'm bringing up the DEI and the CRT thing is because these things have been, infused into education and to the workforce and to pretty much everywhere to create this level of thinking where it only matters what people look like. We don't have a meritocracy. We've got to bring people in based on their skin color. And we should be able to allow them to do things like plagiarize just because they're meeting our diversity quotas, but only based on skin color, because they need all of these people to think the same way. But it's really just disguised as a way to get the people that think like these radical leftist activists in a position of power, that think like they do, that want to carry out their agenda, and they can get away with things like condoning anti-Semitism, condoning calls for genocide, allowing them to play, allowing these people to carry out the worst of the worst behaviors to destroy our society. But people can feel good about it because they see more Black people in, these positions of power, or more Latino people or whatever. Though we can't have more Asian people and we can't have more Jewish people. It's only the people that are willing, that have a high enough percentage of their population that are willing to be victims and willing to go along with this stuff. So it's just used to disguise.
Pernicious.
Yeah. So and that's what DEI and CRT are doing. So.
And one of the little gems that you just said, and I thought you were going to leave it out at first, but it's not just people that look the right way. It's people that think the right way, because Carol Swain, she's not included in this group because she's a free thinker. Thomas Sowell, he's known as an economist, but I believe that Thomas Sowell is one of the most brilliant minds that we have on Earth right now. I think he's more of a philosopher than an economist or a mathematician. He's excluded from any of this. And I think he got fired from his job with the Department of Agriculture or whatever economic office of government that he worked for. He's basically the Moynihan of our day. Larry Elder, brilliant guy, hardworking guy. He's excluded from accolades like this.
Ben Carson.
Oh gosh, they went hard after Ben Carson. He's not a good doctor. He's not a real Black person, born in the lap of luxury. Everything they said about him, they made up. He was like a less popular Donald Trump to the left.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So it's absolutely, it's disgusting is what it is, because I think a lot of people, and maybe even myself, like probably a year or two ago, we thought that all of these activists were going to be just crybabies in the street. They're disrupting the flow of traffic. They're destroying paintings, but ultimately something that we could avoid most of the time. But that's not the goal. The goal was to get these people into positions of power, into positions of leadership, so that they take, the people that are screaming in the street are exactly the same as, Claudine Gay. But they're bringing these radical ideas to a larger audience when they do get to be at the head of an educational institution, when they do get to be, as a vice president of the United States. So it's to the point where, we can't pretend that the most radical activism are the people that are throwing tantrums, in the middle of the freeway. Like the worst people are in the highest positions in the United States right now.
I agree.
Yep.
I agree. Well, I know we're over time, but do you want to look at any of the blind reacts?
Let's do one. We need something a little more lighthearted.
All right. I don't know which one to do. I guess we'll just click on the first one, see what happens.
All right, let's see.
This is crazy. Did you know that when the rapture happens, men are going to get taken 30 minutes before women? It's in the book of Revelation, chapter 8, verse 1. When he opened the seventh seal, there was silence in heaven for about a half an hour.
I love it. love it.
saw this, I immediately sent it to my wife and her friend Taylor.
And what did they say?
Oh, they all just like did haha to it. It's both of us as couples are in the same group chat. So shout out to Taylor and Andrew. Love you guys.
That's funny. But the thing is, you have to be able to laugh at stuff like that. Like, there are so many like stereotypes, things like your wife nagging you or whatever, that people just get so upset about. And I'm like, yeah, enjoy your 30 minutes. Make the most of it, because when I get there.
This guy's setup was so good though, because I was like, what? I'm like, I love Revelation. I'm like, no way, dude. There was silence for about half an hour. Wow, that's pretty good.
I love it.
Well, that's awesome. The show.
All right, guys.
Thank you guys for watching. We will see you next week. I'm going to skip the little outro thing because I don't feel like playing it and sitting here while it goes on. So I just need to find the button and hit it. All right. Like, share, subscribe, do all the stuff. I guess you're not watching on Rumble because it's not there yet, but it will be on Rumble. So subscribe over there. Bye.